and seconders to adopt the communique. Rwanda.
Thank you, Excellency. For the communique, I have some comments and some additions we want to add according to what was discussed. The paragraph sorry, Your Excellency. Paragraph 12, the summit bullet point number 4. I think you agree that to work with the chiefs of defense forces, MONUSCO, and M23 and other stakeholders, because we believe that we cannot be negotiating peace without involving the concerned people. And if they have to withdraw from the place where they are now, they need to be involved. They need to be part of the team, and this is what we agreed on, that M23 should be part of the team, which will go to verify the suitability of the place. That's the bullet point 4. We are also proposing, we think also that we need to add another paragraph, another bullet point, saying that the regional force should ensure that local armed groups do not occupy areas vacated by M23, and the foreign armed groups are disarmed and repatriated without conditions. I think this also needs to be put in a communique. And as a bullet point number 5, which was not there. And then paragraph 18, bullet point A, we think we should add, where we have bullet point A, during the Nairobi 3 consultation, and M23 to be included in the Nairobi process. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any comment from others? DRC?
Merci, Excellence, Monsieur le Président. Je pense que sur le point 13, point 4, il a été convenu ce qui est écrit. Je me rappelle qu'effectivement, le Premier ministre du Rwanda a souhaité que la M23 fasse partie de l'équipe qui va aller visiter Rumangabo, où se fera le premier précantonnement. Mais à l'issue du débat, il a été clairement dit que c'est plutôt les facilitateurs qui les contacteraient. Parce que toute la force de l'EAC qui est présente sur place est bel et bien là pour créer les conditions de précantonnement normal, non seulement à Rumangabo, mais aussi à Kindu, où les troupes angolaises sont en train de s'affairer pour s'installer, et où le gouvernement congolais est en train d'investir de gros moyens pour aménager les endroits prévus pour cela. Donc, je ne vois pas pourquoi on ajouterait les M23 ici, parce que tout ce qui est là est pour les sécuriser, créer les conditions de précantonnement normal. C'est ce qui a été attendu, j'imagine, j'espère, par nous tous dans la réunion. Merci.
A comment? Rwanda?
Thank you, Excellency. Of course, I raised that issue because we believe that M23 should be involved in that process. And what the minister from Congo is saying, we didn't agree on that. So we don't see how M23 wouldn't be involved in a process which is going to assess the place where they're going to be living. So what we said was that that decision will be communicated to M23 by the facilitator. So the facilitator will be there to communicate to M23 that decision. But the decision of M23 being part of the team, I thought we agreed on that. By the communication, we said the facilitator is going to communicate that decision to M23. So there is a difference between who is going to do the communication and the decision which was made. Thank you, Your Excellency.
There is no other comment. I think now we are in a practical case. There is actors, there is facilitator who are neutral in that matter. And who is playing is M23, is going in a cantonment, pre-cantonment center. So the role of that team and the role of the real actors, is it the same? Is what we can say and be clear about that?
Your Excellency, I think we are struggling with semantics. I think we have agreed broadly on the issue. The issue was whether Rumangabo has facilities to accommodate the M23 in the context of pre-cantonment. And it was arrived at because it was agreed by all that Sabinho, which was the original position, the place for them to go, did not have any facilities. So I think we should not fight over this particular phrase. I think it is generally agreed that this decision as to whether they are going to Rumangabo now, not Sabinho, should be communicated, I think, as has been said here, by the facilitator to the M23. So once it's communicated to them by the facilitator, then, but meanwhile, the process of assessment of the suitability, whether the facilities are there, will be carried out by a bigger team. The East Africa Regional Force, the UN, MONUSCO, and others, including the DRC Army. So I think we can live with this because I think we've made so much progress. We should not allow ourselves to be stuck in a simple clause like this. The progress that has been made is significant. We already have a ceasefire in place. Normalcy is returning. M23 have already retreated. They have accepted unconditionally to participate in this process. I think there is more progress on the ground for us to look at than just this small statement.
Rwanda, do you understand?
Thank you, Excellency. I think it's just a matter of being, let's say, rational and fair in the process. When we're taking someone to live somewhere, that person has to know the place where he's going. And I think involving M23 in this process, it's actually, it's making things easier. But it's better than saying we have agreed on this and then M23 is not involved. Why it's the actors, you say, and then in the end, they don't know where they are being taken. So I think involving them to go to reach the place wouldn't cause any problem, any harm to members. So I think saying, adding the Chief of Defense Forces, MONUSCO, and the M23 to visit the place is the best way of doing these things.
In my view, already M23 knows the area. And why can't we have confidence that when the facilitator, for example, will communicate to M23, M23 will have opportunity to ask some questions. M23 is not here now, but that time, M23 have the ground where he can ask some questions about the implementation of this matter.
Thank you, Excellency. I think when I'm talking about being rational is who are fighting? The fight is between M23 and the government of Congo. Now, in this group of people are visiting the place, we're putting army chiefs, meaning the chief of staff of Army of Congo will be part of this group visiting the place. And then the other party is not being represented. It's not, you know, because these two parties which are fighting government of Congo and M23 should be part of that delegation which is going to visit the place. And I think it makes sense. And for me, as the president of Kenya said, I think it's very simple and the simple matter we shouldn't be even discussing, because the government of Congo is visiting the place with the M23, and those are the two parties which are fighting. Thank you, Excellency.
I think Tanzania, can you help us to look for the solution?
Well, Your Excellency, I thought it's just semantics. My thinking was that the M23 is covered under other stakeholders. I don't see that being a problem as long as the facilitator in constituting the team that will go to inspect the site will be including all stakeholders, including the M23. So that's my thinking.
So for you, it's not necessary to put M23 when the facilitator will be there. Uganda?
Your Excellency, during the course of the meeting, we were informed that actually the M23 is already in place in Rumangabo. So when this team goes, they will find them there. If they're already there, then they'll be consulted automatically because they're occupying the place now. Thank you, Excellency.
Rwanda?
Thank you. Actually, I think we are getting confused. In our discussion, the question was, who is in Rumangabo today? And I remember we were informed that at that place called Rumangabo today, the forces which are there are from Kenya and South Sudan today. So M23 is not there, according to the information we got from during the meeting. So the people are there today in Rumangabo are Kenyan force and South Sudan. So M23 is not there. Now, we're visiting the place where we're going to bring them. But having said that, I think if we put the phrase as the Vice President of Tanzania said, if that's the understanding of all of us, we can say Chief of Defense Forces, MONUSCO, and the other stakeholders, including M23, as the Vice President of Tanzania said. That would be okay. If we put including M23. Otherwise, we don't assume that the facilitator will be composed, will be sending a delegation, then you have been, we put names, we said Chief of Defense Force, meaning from government, and then we put the name of MONUSCO, then we are avoiding to add the M23 as if M23 is not active in that process. And to the end, we're saying also that M23 should be part of Nairobi process. So if we're putting people in the same process of peace, let's put them in the whole process. Otherwise, if we avoid them in one step, then you put them in another step, we're not doing, a proper process, I think. Thank you, Chair.
South Sudan.
Maybe get a lesson about the experiences of South Sudan when we had problem. We had SPLM-IO and I, and also SPLM, the government army, and the rebel army we had. And when we decided to have cantonment sites, these cantonment sites where we wanted actually the various opposition groups who were virtually our rebels to move into those sites. And they were not yet having any direct contact with the government. And in order to convince them that they will not be harmed, because the government army is supposed to be powerful, to be strong. The issue with us was that the rebels did not trust whether they can travel with our forces to go and see the site for them to be put in. But in the end, when they were convinced, it was the rebels being convinced to move together with the government troops to go to the site, because you don't expect the rebels to overcome the government. Maybe using our experience, it would be good, as said by the Vice President of Tanzania, that when you use facilitation, the facilitator has got certain confidence, and there is confidence from the M23 in the facilitation. So really, I think you try the examples of others. So when they were convinced, they went to cantonment sites, their officers. They didn't even have soldiers to come with them. And they agreed to go with where the government forces are in charge. They accepted to be with the government forces, and they moved to cantonment sites. Some of those things should be seen as silent parts of the agreement of whatever. And these are the ones you discuss later on when you have built some trust among yourselves. So maybe it will not harm. I think the DRC government, army is quite strong, and with MONUSCO there, and with from the community, also developed forces which are present. What would M23 do after all? I think maybe our brothers on the other side may use our experience when we were fixing cantonment sites. Thank you.
Rwanda.
I think we leave it as it is, as long as the understanding is that the facilitator will make sure that he involves all concerned parties, and then what we want is that understanding be there. So the facilitator will know how to involve M23 at when he'll be sending the delegation to see the